Yes, days ago, Governor Monday Okpebholo announced a new crackdown on criminals in the state. He said he will set up a special court to try kidnappers and cultists. What he also said was that within 2 to 3 weeks, he will be done with it and he will by himself sign the execution. To really drive home this decision, the governor has written to the state chief judge, Justice Okumbowa, requesting for the constitution of a special court for offences relating to cultism and kidnapping. The governor gives reason for the request as necessitated by his unwavering commitment to tackling and eradicating the menace of cultism and kidnapping in the state, as well as strengthening the criminal justice in this regard. And so this will be our focus on this week's edition of Midweek Connect. Welcome on board. I am Udrakobong Achibong. I'm not alone. As usual, Ifoma Kafo is there seated at my extreme right.
Good morning, viewer.
Thank you so much for being part. And of course, you have somebody right in the middle of us here. It's our guest on this week's edition of the program. And of course, it's a regular face on the program. He is a lecturer in the University of Benin and as well as a public affairs analyst. You really throw more light to what we have to say today. He is no other person than Sunday Ekerikewe.
Very good morning to you viewers out there, and good morning to all of you here. It's good seeing both of you.
And also seeing you. I hope it was not stressful coming here because you know when it's market day along this axis, it's always a busy day for motorists. But thank God you're here with us, and so let's kickstart the discussion. But before we go into it, what we have today to talk about is the special court for kidnapping and cultism. The state governor wants the chief judge of the state to constitute so they can fast track fighting crime in the state. But before we do that, let's take a backgrounder.
Insecurity has reported to have been on the increase in most parts of the country. Despite government's intervention, the menace of insecurity continues to soar. Kidnapping has said to become like an enterprise. However, Edo State recently has been in the news on the issue of kidnapping. The state government, in its drive to tackle kidnapping, has among other measures plans to set up a special court which an accelerated hearing of cases will account for execution of offenders. This, Edo citizens say, is commendable as it would help curb kidnapping.
Punishment is to serve as a deterrent to others and to punish you for the malfeasance or the wrong which has been done.
Well, what I think about the kidnapping law is that law is very nice. Why will you kidnap somebody without any level that is not going up in it? This executing of this kidnapping stuff, we need to stop. We don't need it again.
I believe it's going to favor everybody. Yeah, it's going to favor us. So we are going to be patient and see what God is going to do.
A constitutional lawyer, Adams Aliu, gave an insight on the legal aspect of the execution plans.
The aim is twofold: to serve as a punitive measure for the ill-fated action for which the accused was charged, and secondly, to deter others from repeating this so that the society will be free. So it is both preventive, curative, as a prophylactic against evil ways of living. That has no right to take another person's life.
The people say they look forward to the implementation of the policy, which will translate into a secured environment. In Benin, Favor Osaigwabo, NTA News.
Yes, thank you. Those are the views from Nigerians on what they think should be done about this effort of the state government, supporting it, and of course suggesting ways they should approach this decision by the state governor. But here in the studio, yes, we come to you, lecturer, sir. Special court for kidnapping and courtism in Edo State. You've heard of the news because it's about days now. So what's your take on
it? I think it's a good development. I want to commend the government led by Senator Monday Okpewolo for this initiative. It's long overdue. It's a political effort. It's a strong will effort. It takes someone that has strong will to say he wants to do this, to be able to curb the criminality that we are finding ourselves into in these days. So I want to commend the state government. It's a welcome development. Courtism has eaten deep into the fabrics of our youth, and this special court will register a type of feelings in the minds of people that want to join court and courtists, that it is not business as usual. They have a special court now for them, and it will go a long way in discouraging those that intend to join and those that are carrying out the nefarious activities through the umbrella of courtism in the state. And so I want to actually appreciate the state government for the political will in ensuring that this is done. But I also want to stress that it is not just, it should not just be for courtists alone, but all violent crime, kidnapping, banditry, anything that has to do with criminal activities that revolve around drug abuse and courtism should be brought to that court, and the judgment should be expedited, as he has said, so that it can serve as deterrent to others. And most essentially, those that are caught, for instance, should be persecuted, especially whether it is from a rich man's home or from the poor man's home, so that they won't do selective type of judgment and all that. So they should be seen to be objective in such a way that it will register strongly on the minds of our youth that it's not business as usual.
Okay, now you see a situation that we have the regular court and then we are having this special court. You begin to wonder, is it that the regular court has not really been living up to its expectation, that the governor is now saying, please, I need a special court? How would you describe this move?
Yes,
we already have the regular court.
Yes, I know we have a regular court, but I think the state government is also looking at the volume of loads that the regular courts are handling when it comes to criminal justice in the state. There are a lot of cases in court, and you need to expedite action. And one of our feelings, one of our perception about the court is that when you take something, a matter to court, it will take you years for them to begin to work on it and eventually pass judgment. So I think this will speed the justice system in the state by handling courtism alone. It is going to not only register a strong warning to those that are in court, but also expedite action on court-related issus, so that the time that it will take for the regular court to begin to handle court-related, courtism-related cases, the special court would have handled it, and the action would have been met, judgment would have been passed, and so it will make the judicial system faster.
Okay, Mr. Sunday. So looking at, you really commended the governor on his drive, to set up the special court for the execution of offenders, of kidnappers and courtism in the state. So are you not looking on the flip side of it? Are you not considering looking at human rights, how it affects, when you talk about capital punishment, this special court now is just 2 weeks. The time frame, the duration is very short, unlike when you have a regular court that takes time to look at cases, judiciously, and looking at every perspective and every angle to a crime. You understand? Somebody is is innocent till proven guilty. But this was just talking about a very short frame of time. So are you not seeing human rights angle to it? And also, I also want you to also react on the increased dangers to victims, because immediately you begin to, maybe you catch one kidnapper, of course they are gangs. Don't you think it will affect dangerously on the victims of that?
Okay. You just asked me.
Asked two questions.
You just asked two questions. The Mubarak question. But let's look at the
human rights.
The human rights angle, as you just said. It is. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a communicator. I'm a journalist. But from the knowledge I have, I know that you can't prosecute someone until you have evidence. So it is not as if the regular court don't have this evidence. They are just dilly-dallying, and that is what this governor wants to avoid. They want to ensure that.
Do you call it dilly-dallying?
Yes, because when you have evidence, overwhelming evidence, you see empirical evidence, are you able to prove the prima facie that this person is directly or indirectly involved in cultism? What else do you want? So most of the reasons why we experience these delays of adjournment and all that is just because of the volume of work that they have in the courtroom. They have a lot of cases that they are handling, and so as one case is coming, your case will also come, another person's case will also come, until it will get to your turn again. So it is a process. But if you have a special court that is specially designed for this type of activities or for this type of scenario, you don't have to go to the regular court. You just go straight to that particular court, and when they look at the evidence and cross-examine you properly and check everything that they need to check and discover that you are guilty, then you should go in for it. We have countries in the world where if you are caught with drugs, you are sentenced to death by hanging. They don't waste time, and that is why those countries are relatively safe when it comes to drug peddling and pushing and all that. Yeah, so it's relatively safe. So we are not saying that they are not going to look at this evidence, but the what is getting us worried is the long time that the regular courts always take to prosecute cases. This they can handle very fast if they have large hands, more numbers of persons handling these various cases and all that. So it is a man-made for them to, you have a case in court and it's taking you years, even land cases taking you years. How long will it take you to dust the books, look at the evidence and cross-check everything that you need to cross-check? Will it take up to 9 years first before somebody gets justice? It is said that justice delay is justice denied. So it is expedient that we restructure our judicial system, and I'm sure this is what the governor is trying to do in ensuring that actions are taken on time and judgment is passed, so that the society will be a better place to live in. And most people are encouraged by the fact that by the time you take the case to court, you don't worry, we're going to spend all the time there. So they'll be using some techniques and some strategies to delay the time, and at the end of the day, the justice will eventually come when the person is dead.
Okay, so the main person in all this scenario is the victim. So how do you think it will affect? Don't you think it will increase the dangers on victims? That's the second question I asked.
Okay. The victims, cultism is something that most of the problem associated with cultism is violent crime, killings and all that. You see rival cult groups fighting either because of one thing or the other. Some of them are showing superiority and all that, and some of them are even engaged in criminal activities like burglary and stealing and all that. So when you are caught and it is linked to cultism and all that, you should be taken to the right place. And this one, even this one has nothing to do with victim. You see, because the victim actually are the people that are the people that suffer from court-related issues.
The suspect.
Yes, the suspect, what they refer to as the Jews. You see, the people like us who are gentle and calm and don't want to put their hands into those type of nefarious activities, that they will come and intimidate. We are the victims. So they are not the victims, they are the perpetrators of the crime. And so if they are caught perpetrating those type of crime, they should be brought to justice. And the good law should take hold of them. And we are not saying that the law should not just take hold of them by just leaving them to while away time. The law should take hold of them speedily. The law should take hold of them very fast, so that they can serve as deterrent to others. We have come up with several policies on how we can fight cultism in Edo State. You see, and none have worked.
And kidnapping,
banditry, and all this thing, and no one is working, because they felt that by the time you arrest them, you dump them for a while, it's going to take a long time, and they can use the opportunity to begin to do what they want to do, manipulate, reach out to people that they want to reach out to, and divert justice. And the governor is saying no. We want this thing to be very fast, and I'm sure he is also aware that most of the other crime are related to court.
Okay, let me take you on this cultism. You know, you said maybe people had this mind that nothing can happen, we can just commit this crime. But when the governor came in, I think he started with cultism. This kidnapping thing, I think there's an anti-kidnapping law now, that if you are being caught like this cultism, governor is demolishing houses all over the state. Once is being known that this happened, you were the cause behind it, he goes after your property and everything. But somebody mentioned that in trying to implement this anti-kidnapping law, care should be taken about anybody who never knew what happened, his property being taken away. Because we have situations like a landlord may not really know who came on board to live in the house, doing secret things. Before you know it, the house is demolished. What do you think in fighting, let's look at this law, kidnapping law, in trying to implement this law, what should be the care being taken to ensure that the innocent ones are not taken?
No, that is where investigation comes in. I was sharing with some few persons before I entered the studio, some of my colleagues, and we are saying that the bottom line is investigate thoroughly. Now, before he came in, he made it clear. I'm not advocating for the governor, but of course I'm sharing my view and my perception in this regard. I've actually criticized some of his policies in time past, but for this I want to say that before he came in, he made it abundantly clear that one of the problems confronting Edo State is cultism, and that anybody that is related to cultism will be dealt with. He even said that those that house cultists, they will demolish their houses, and so they should take care. He made it abundantly clear. But some persons took it for granted and said it does not matter. Maybe they want to see what the governor can do to show that it's very serious. So you cannot tell me that you are accommodating a tenant in your house and you don't know anything about that person. Before I get the house I'm living in, and my landlord asked me a series of questions. And I told him I'm a lecturer in the University of Benin. I brought empirical evidence. The man is learned, and I showed him beyond all reasonable doubt. He asked me about my marital status and all that. So you can't say that you are a landlord and in this 21st century, under this type of insecurity that we find ourselves, and someone is coming into your compound and you don't know the type of work he or she is doing. It is your responsibility to find out. If you don't, then the governor is saying you are a culprit. You are trying to aid that person. The person is not working. He will just carry bag and jive in the morning and come back in the evening, and you are comfortable with that. So it's your responsibility, because the security is actually a responsibility, a collective responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of the security agencies alone. Is the responsibility of all stakeholders, including landlords and landladies. And so he made it abundantly clear. But some persons felt, let's see what the governor is going to do. And now he started taking appropriate action, and some people are crying. You don't need to cry, because if I am the governor, I'm going to, because it is registering a type of signal already, and people are already on their toes. So the thing that we cannot do to ensure that innocent persons are not dealt with is to investigate properly. You see, is to investigate, to find out all these things, to find out and be sure of what you are doing before you carry it out, so that innocent persons that are not aware, or they are not involved, they are not even courteous, or even sometimes we still have to investigate the landlords too. Yes, that is the truth.
Okay, Mr. Sunday.
Yes, so we have to investigate everybody, because security is everybody. Yes, it's everybody's responsibility. Look at today now. We can no longer go into our farms. It started very gently, with little clashes and all that, and we say it does not matter. And today we cannot access farms, and because we cannot access farms, prices of commodity has risen and all that, and we are suffering it.
Okay, Mr. Sunday, I just want to take it unit by unit. I asked about the increasing dangers on the victims. You understand that are the main key player in what we're discussing. I also want you to react on this issue of, okay, we are talking about establishing a special court for speedy execution of offenders of kidnappers and cultism. So are we not looking at the issue of the primary suspects? The primary, so they have gangs, and they also have orgas, what do we call orgas? So if you quickly silence the kidnapper, how about they have a chain?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. So how will the police or the security agents now track, if you quickly, within 2 weeks you have already silenced a kidnapper? How about the primary witnesses in that case?
Of course, when you come to crime, the police has a way of getting the culprit. They have a way of getting information. In fact, the Nigerian police is one of the most formidable police force in the world. It's just that the will and the capacity to act is not just there. But if they made up their mind to finding out whatever they want to find out, they always find it out. The other day, I think somebody called me from Abuja, and he just told me my location. Yes, he just told me my location. He said, you are behind the Ekewan campus of the University of Benin. I was shocked. How did you find? I already know the type of job he does in the security, so I know that he must have used a tracker. So we have all these facilities. So the point I'm trying to make is that if the Nigerian police want to work, he can deliver. To get whatever he wants to get. So when you apprehend someone, of course we are going to investigate. We are going to find out the chains, the sponsor and all that, even the court that he or she represent and all that. We are going to find all those ones. Those ones are exclusively the work of the security agents. Now, we are going to take the investigation bit by bit. By the 2 weeks, it's not saying that all people involved in the kidnapping would have, or in the court related issues would have been apprehended, but at least that 2 weeks is like a type of duration, so that you can be on your toes. Yes, it may even extend more than the 2 weeks, but he wants a time frame. Yes, he wants a time frame so that people can now work within this time frame, and if you extend the time frame, it will not be more than 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, there's another one I want to chip in now. This issue of the governor said once it happens that it's going to be at Popular Ring Road, the King Square, the Popular Ring Road.
Yes.
So it's going to be gather a lot of spectators to watch at what we are doing. So so many people are frowning at are we in a jungle, a banana republic that you want to execute, you have to do it so open, considering children, women and people. How is going to affect the psyche, and also talking about humanity?
The truth is that there are some countries you will go to, you have to be on your toes, like Saudi Arabia, for instance. Before you go to Egypt, they will give you their law, the Hammurabi's, and they will tell you, if you turn and look at their women, we ampute your hand, we cut it off. So, and when most Nigerians that are talking like this, they can't do it when they go to countries like Iraq, countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like even in America. They maintain laws, they maintain order. So that means we have the capacity to maintain law and order. But because we are seemingly free and nothing is happening, you can do anything and go get away with it. That is why sometimes we misbehave.
So you are part of the kangaroo method.
No. We are not saying that. I'm not saying that is kangaroo method. Yes, we have different ways of execution.
Okay.
This in 21st century, we are not even saying that execution should not be the in thing. That at least life imprisonment. Yes, life imprisonment should be what should be encouraged, especially among civilized society. And so I'm appealing to the governor to see it from that perspective, that it becomes homo homini lupus in terms of the type of trauma when you sentence somebody like that, because even if the person is guilty, the person should be dealt with honorably. If you want to kill the person, you should also be killed honorably. So I'm saying that the execution thing should not be encouraged, but life imprisonment. Yes, at least life imprisonment, so that it can serve as deterrent to others. I also understand the feeling of the governor. Essentially because of the way I'm sure you see how the kidnappers are killing people, how they are slaughtering.
It has become an enterprise.
Yes, how they have how they slaughter people, innocent Nigerians, how they slit their throats and all that, and even record it. Now, if they don't feel remorse in doing that, why should we feel remorse if we are to execute them?
That's where I want to come in, Mr. Sunday, because I remember in the military regime, I think I was opportune to witness a particular firing squad. It was done in the open.
Yes.
They will tie them to drums.
Yes, exactly.
And fire them.
And it will serve as deterrent to others.
Because yes, talking of deterrent, people should be seeing.
So when they see it, they will know that it's not business as usual. So one day,
the community will know, this is the family of the person that did this. So people like, so I don't see anything wrong to me. But well, it's for the people, like she said, at times you need to have human face in certain things you do to ensure that.
No, but essentially, if the kidnapper don't have human faces, so then should we have human faces?
All right,
but we are just looking at it holistically. Yes, and we are saying, be as it may, instead of a complete execution, yes, they should go to life in prison. But that also depends on the crime, the extent of the crime. Yes, if you kill by the sword, you should also die by the sword. So even if you are going to sentence them to death, it should be done honorably, in such a way that even the dead will be honored, so that when they get to the other side, they will be welcomed.
All right, Mr. Sunday, yes, we are still talking about kidnapping and courtism in the state. And the governor attended a conference some days ago, and he made some comment. He said, our people are now involved. You know, when you talk of kidnapping, there's a particular set people tend to look at. They are the perpetrators, they are this. But the governor said, even our people are now involved. That what they do is that the local collaborators, they will now carry these people, the victim, and hand them over to others in the bush to do whatever they need to do, and probably it's not a business. They'll get their cut. How worrisome is this situation?
No, it's very worrisome.
We have amongst our people.
Yes.
And I think I heard of a situation that a particular driver drove passengers to a particular point in the bush and left them there.
Yes, exactly.
And kidnappers.
Yes, it has become a lucrative business, I must say, and that is why the governor is taking this decisive step. So I understand what the governor is trying to do. Because how will you explain a situation where a woman decided to kidnap herself in quotes and is cooling off in a hotel in Delta State, enjoying herself, and meanwhile calling her husband that they need 50 million naira? It is worrisome. Or how will you explain a situation where a student in one of these universities in Edo State decided to adopt a son of her own sister, and said that the son has been kidnapped and they are asking for money until the boyfriend was arrested? So these are the issues we are talking about. So, and that is why we have to tackle it headlong. We have to tackle it headlong and treat it with the urgency it deserves. But because people have been going away with it, that is why people, the locals are now involved. It started with a little community with some people they started that particular business, and by the time they saw that nothing is happening to them, they flaunt their guns, they flaunt the cash that they were able to get from victims and all that. Nothing is happening, and there's high rate of unemployment in the state, and there is no job. That is when the locals started getting involved.
Okay,
that is just the what plays out.
Let me still add it to what you say from before you come in. The governor equally said, and it was so striking to me, he said religious leaders, when these people are caught, please don't come and beg for them.
Yes, exactly.
Meaning that they always beg.
It paints a picture that maybe at times when these crimes are committed, people go behind,
of course,
to like plead on their behalf, say please release them or let them go and all that. What kind of situation are we dealing with this kind of
that is the extent that the insecurity has eaten deep into the fabrics, and that is why the governor is giving that 2 weeks ultimatum, so that you won't have even the time to come and beg, because we have a lot of influential people. Before they will not start making calls and they want to pressurize you, and the same people that will be the same people will be those that will also criticize the governor of not doing anything. They say he's the chief executive officer of the state, the chief security officer of the state. What are you doing to curb insecurity? And the same people that will also call the governor to say, please release this one. Okay. It becomes a very big problem, and so it is not something that we should welcome at all. It's not something that we should welcome, that religious leaders, even influential members of the society, instead of them to talk to their children or talk to people around them to abstain from crime, by the time they get into crime, then you'll be the one that will go and begin to bail them out. It's not something that we should encourage, because it will encourage others to go into crime. It will encourage others to go into this cultism and kidnapping that we are talking about. And so we should, in all its entirety, discourage it, because it's not worth it's not something that we should encourage. Then, having said that, I also want to add that part of what is also happening are parents encouraging their children to go into these nefarious activities, you see, and that is why the governor is not happy about it. That's why the governor is taking these decisive steps, because he has seen that if you don't tackle it headlong, is going to continue to eat deep into the fabrics of our society and even destroy our entire structure. And we will not go again and blame the governor for his inability to govern us effectively. You see, so it becomes a very difficult situation, and so we should discourage criminality in all its form. Be it cultism, kidnapping, banditry, be it any form of criminal activities, drug abuse and all that. We should discourage all these things.
Okay, Mr. Sunday, you're talking about a governor being proactive, in tackling insecurity, especially where it concerns kidnapping and cultism. Don't you think, or what's your take or opinion? Many people are now saying that the best thing the governor should also include in his plans is trying to set up a town hall meeting where he will bring stakeholders, key players, religious organizations. We not talked about some people going behind to beg for the release of these criminals. So what's your opinion on setting a town hall meeting, bringing people together to now tell them the reason, educate them properly on why he wants to take that decisive measure, so that at the end of the day nobody will come out and begin to blame the governor for going against human rights or the stuffs like that, and also going through maybe the House of Assembly, properly going through the House of, instead of just the chief judge trying to set up a court without the due process of going through the House of Assembly and setting up town hall meeting for holy discussion of it. So these are some of the concerns coming from people.
I think that the governor should set up a sensitization committee. It's not just about holding town hall meetings. People are already aware of the evil of cultism. Cultism is not,
and kidnapping.
Yes, those issues are not something that you begin to dilly-dallying about and said we should begin to seek people's opinion. Should we do this, or we should that is not the quality of a good leader. A good leader must be seen to be very firm and decisive, especially in issues that affect the citizenry. So the point I'm trying to make is that the governor have started in the right direction. I'm sure he's going to put all the various mechanisms in place in reaching out to the various stakeholders, especially the National Assembly, to ensure that whatever plan that he has for us in ensuring that kidnapping and banditry and everything that has to do with courtesan come to an end in Edo State is done.
All right, Mr. We are pressed for time. By way of wrapping up, I know it's equally a trending issue now in the country, which I would just want you to lend your voice before we wrap it up. We're talking about the state police here in Nigeria, and the president yesterday, I think this Tuesday, he sent a forwarded a constitutional amendment bill to Senate so that they can deliberate on it and come. And today, this Wednesday, the Senate is convening to vote it, this proposal, the bill, to know whether they will accept the state police. So what's your take on it?
No, my take has always been to encourage state policing, because in some crime, 1 kilometer you see one police. So you see that if we are a country of 250 million people, then we should have at least a whole number of police. The federal police is grossly inadequate to tackle the security situations that we find ourselves, especially as it is unfolding. So we need state police to govern the ungoverned areas. Our bushes should be well combed. There should be adequate security. Some people are afraid of the fact that the government will use the police against individuals. No, even the federal government police, they are being used, and we are also reacting to that effect too. We've protested against police brutality in time past. So if state governors decides to use that, we also protest against them. But for now, we need to be secured, so that when I'm moving on the streets, I will know that I have a police in two miles away from me, and that will give me a type of confidence. And beside that, the state police will reduce the unemployment in the state. There are a lot of youths that are not employed. So put them into the security and let us begin to make the state a better state, and Nigeria as a whole a better country.
Put them so that we can have a better state and enhance security in the country. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you come here and tell us, because it's always interesting. Thank you so much. We look forward to having you next time. And for what you said, he's encouraging, he's in support of what the state government is doing, and even the federal government, because all what we need as a primary responsibility of government is for this welfare and security of its citizens. Thank you so much, Ifeoma. Thank you. Of course, it's always another day for us. Next week, Wednesday, exact time, 9 o'clock in the morning, to have you join us on this program. Until then, we'll have a blessed day.